Okay, let's talk about something I think we've all heard before. That idea that putting your own needs first is selfish, right? It's a really common belief. But today, we're going to tear that whole idea apart. We're going to see why it's not just wrong, but why it's actually holding you back from being the best version of yourself for everyone. So let's get into it.
So first things first, let's do a quick check-in. Just be honest with yourself for a second. Are you feeling completely drained? Maybe even a little resentful about all the things you're constantly doing for other people, or just plain underappreciated? Yeah. If you're nodding along right now, I want you to know you are so not alone. This right here, this is usually ground zero for what we call people-pleaser burnout.
And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures what that feels like, doesn't it? This is from someone who really hit their limit. They said their empathy was at an all-time low. They just wanted everyone to leave them alone. It's that feeling of pouring everything you have into others, only to feel completely empty and like nobody even sees it.
And that right there brings us to what's really at the heart of this, the people-pleaser's dilemma. It's this tricky pattern of self-sacrifice that, it almost always starts with just being kind, but it can so easily spiral into something way, way more damaging.
I mean, look at this real-world example of someone named Carol. She kept driving her neighbor's carpool shifts. Sounds nice, right? Just being a good neighbor. But here's the catch. To do it, she had to cancel her own appointments. She ended up feeling totally overwhelmed, anxious, and even annoyed. See, every single yes to her neighbor was actually a no to herself.
So that begs the question, what's the real cost of being too nice? Because it goes way beyond just feeling a little bit stressed out. We're talking about some pretty serious consequences when you're constantly putting yourself at the bottom of the list.
A lot of the time, the root of this is a pattern called codependency. And it's not just about being needy, not at all. It's really defined by this high level of self-sacrifice. Constantly pushing down your own emotions and feeling this intense need to fix everyone else's problems. Your entire sense of purpose gets all tangled up in being the hero for everybody else.
Okay, so how do you know if you're actually heading for this kind of burnout? Well, these are some major signs. Feeling resentful while you're helping someone, that's a huge red flag. It means you're not really giving freely anymore. You're giving out of obligation. Or how about always apologizing for everything? Or feeling like you're responsible for how other people feel? And seriously, listen to your body. It keeps score. We're talking fatigue, headaches. That's your body trying to tell you something's wrong.
And if this keeps going for too long, the effects are honestly predictable and just corrosive. You end up with burnout, this really deep resentment, frustration, anger, anxiety. I mean, this isn't just a bad mood. These are serious emotional consequences, and they all stem from not protecting your own energy.
All right, but here's where we pivot. This is the big turning point. We have to completely reframe how we think about all of this. It's time to get this straight. Taking care of yourself isn't just okay. It is absolutely 100% essential. You've probably heard this before, but it is so, so true. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Just think about that for a second. If your own cup is totally empty, what do you really have left to give anybody else? Nothing. It's like a fundamental law of emotional physics. And this is the core idea I really want you to walk away with. Putting yourself first is the opposite of selfish. Yeah, I said it, the opposite. In fact, it's one of the most generous things you can do for the people you love, because it means you actually have something real and positive to give them.
And this quote right here explains exactly how that works. When we love ourselves, our care for other people can finally come from a place of inner abundance. It's not coming from a place of depletion or resentment anymore. You're giving from your overflow, not scraping the bottom of the barrel just to find something to give.
So let's be super clear about what self-care really is. Because it's not just bubble baths and fancy chocolates, okay? True self-care is the vital, day-to-day practice of meeting your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual needs. And here's the most important part. It is not a reward you have to earn. It's the foundation everything else is built on.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But there's a reason this is so hard to do in real life. When you actually start setting boundaries, not everyone in your life is going to throw you a party. In fact, some people might react really, really badly.
Just listen to this. This is what happened to someone when they simply tried to find a compromise instead of just caving immediately. The response wasn't just, oh, okay. It was a full-on character assault. They got called a control freak, selfish, mean, unreasonable. This is the exact backlash that people are so afraid of, and it is absolutely real.
See, when you change the dynamic of a relationship,
The people who are used to getting their way, well, they might escalate things. They've been benefiting from the old you, the you with no boundaries. So they push back, hard. They send more messages, they try harder, they lay on the guilt trips. They're basically doing whatever they can to pull you back into that old, comfortable for them pattern.
And believe it or not, there's a psychological term for this. It's called an extinction burst. It's a totally predictable and temporary increase in a behavior right when you take away the reward. So think about it like this. A kid pushes a button and gets a cookie. If the cookie stops coming out, what does the kid do? They don't just walk away. They start mashing that button like crazy. It's the same idea. Things often get worse before they get better. And knowing this is so important because it means their reaction isn't proof that you're a bad person. It's just a predictable pattern. So here's something you need to repeat to yourself. Maybe write it down. You are not responsible for that person's feelings or their happiness. You can be kind, you can be compassionate, but you cannot control their emotional reaction when you set a healthy boundary. Their anger, their guilt trip, that's on them, not you.
So, once you get through that rough patch, that extinction burst, what's on the other side? Because it's not about becoming some selfish island all alone. No, it's about finally being able to give the best, most authentic version of yourself to everyone.
Here's the paradox that a lot of people miss. When you only give partial attention to yourself, you show up in every other part of your life as just a partial version of yourself. At work, with your family, with your friends, everyone gets this watered-down, tired version of you. They're not getting the best of you. Nobody is.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. The absolute best thing you can do for the people you love is to be the healthiest and happiest you that you can possibly be. And sometimes that means saying no.
So I want to leave you with a final thought. We always ask, is it selfish to put myself first? But let's flip that question completely on its head. If putting yourself first is what allows you to give the best version of you to the world, and who are you actually holding back from by always putting yourself last?